It's hard to contain your excitement when you get something you've really wanted. Like the gold standard in automotive protection, WeatherTech floor liners. With deep sculpted channels and laser measured for total protection in the front, back, and even up the sides.
Dad, you're going viral.
What? WeatherTech me.
So don't be shy, enjoy.
WeatherTech.
Order your premium American-made products at WeatherTech.com.
Yesterday, the battles in the mid-pack gave us some fantastic action, but our class leaders are hoping to run away again as we get ready for the Porsche Sprint Challenge North America GT3 Cup Series by Yokohama. I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is former racer Joey Atterbury. Joey, it's starting to get to be time of the season where some drivers have got to start striking back.
Yeah, and it's coming down to those championship times. Let's take a look at this Watkins Glen track map. 3.45 miles and 11 turns make up this amazing facility that is filled with elevation. Turn number 1, a great passing opportunity, but also look towards the inner loop. That has been a danger area all weekend long. And then the boot section, always so technical. The drivers have to keep the minimum speeds up everywhere on this circuit.
For sure, and they're already out on their warm-up laps here for today's race. This is the last one of the weekend. They actually get 3 this weekend for the GT3 Cup cars, as well as for the Caymans, both having to make up races for Road America after being rained out. Let's take a look at how they're going to be starting this race, though, and it is definitely an interesting one in the Masters, but no surprises here in the Pro-Ams as Cole Kleck is on the top spot. Alan Metney is going to be starting on the front row, but it is Matt Siegel who once again shows he is incredibly fast. He's looking for 3rd place, but he's got to limit the mistakes out there. Dashelski will start 4th next to him. Then it gets fascinating. It is Caden Kelly on the Masters pole. He'll have Musial 2.0 sitting next to him, and you get to the next row, and you have Melito and Gilliland. So still no Scott Blend here in 7th and 8th with those two. You have to wait until you get to 9th place overall to get 3rd place starting Scott Blend. He'll have his work cut out for him to try and catch up to Kelly here as he'll be joined by Evan Hinkle there in 10th. What about the next 10 here, Joey?
Yeah, Todd Treffert is going to be lined up in 11th with Joel Johnson here in 12th, sharing row number 6. And then we hop on over to row number 7, where Therese Lalu will be starting from 13th with Chris Hutter next to her in 14th. Back another row into 15th is going to be Reinhold Kron. And then in 16th is going to be Dave Musial there in that JTR Motorsports car. Laura Eli will be starting in 17th, sharing row number 9 with Muzaffar Gafarov. And then on row number 10, starting in 19th, will be Frank Vitiello and Mark Bowden in 20th.
As we get to row number 11, Tim Kesman starts in 21st. Josh Conley will be in 22nd position. Then it'll be Eric Lapp in 23rd, followed by Jody Miller in the 24th spot. Jumping down, you've got John Manship 25th and Thomas Herb in 26th. Just a couple more to wrap this field up. Nicholas Groombridge starting 27th with Francisco De Jesus starting in 28th. And then Dan Ammon will be a did not start. You can count Todd Treffert in that, so bump everybody behind him up one position at the start of this race. All right, getting ready to get going. We're on that second warm-up lap here, Joey. Like I said, last race of the weekend. If you got something, you better pull it out now.
And the temperatures are starting to creep up. It is a beautiful weekend up here in upstate New York. I mentioned the temperatures because this is the warmest these GT3 Cup cars are going to race here. It's only about 70 degrees ambient, but it is a handful of degrees more than what we've seen throughout the weekend here. So I don't think it's going to affect the performance of the cars, but I always think about the drivers inside these race cars. It does get warm inside them. Do they have to use those cooling aids? Because if they can take away a little bit of power from these cars, and here at Watkins Glen, that run up the hill is so important.
Yeah, you need that horsepower underneath you. So we ride on board with our pole sitter, Cole Kleck, here, just behind the Purple People Eater. I'm really interested in seeing what the Masters battle is going to look like. Scott Glenn apparently not taking too kindly to when we talk about him being on the back foot here, but he's got 4 cars to pass to get to Kelly.
I think he's also got some motivation, right? Is that he won yesterday in that Masters class, had it on pole, and pretty much didn't have a challenge behind him in terms of that class. But yeah, now he's got everything in front of him, starting in a little bit of a further back position overall than when we typically see that bright yellow number 245. However, he is next to his buddy John Gilliland out there, and Caden Kelly isn't too far up the road. By the time we get them lined up 2 by 2, they're all within visuals, and he can go out there and maybe capitalize on this opening lap.
I also want to see what Siegel can do out here. He's been looking so fast, but maybe at times a little bit mistake-prone. Can he make up for that? Because he's going to be starting on the podium. Can he finish there?
We'll certainly see. Another name that I'm looking for is Dave Musial 2.0. That is the 231 car. I think that he's had a fantastic weekend so far. He starts from the 6th place overall, so that's another car to look out for, potentially grabbing his best finish of the year. Yeah,
this is his second partial season here in Porsche Sprint Challenge North America, so him coming back and honestly making great leaps forward in terms of pace and looking very competitive this weekend. So we come out onto the main circuit once again out of the boot, and look at how many cars are out there. The GT3 Cup cars tend to have the biggest fields here in Porsche Sprint Challenge, as it is easily one of the most popular. But we'll come around to that final corner. The Purple People Eater will let them go. Cole Kleck will try his best to run away again, as he showed incredible pace yesterday in race number 1 for Watkins Glen. They exit the final corner. Engines rumbling, ready to go as we wait for the call from the flag stand. And they're holding them just a little bit long here as they approach. There it is. Green flag is out. It's a good jump from the 211 as Kleck tries to hold off that top position. Kelly is going to try and, Metney's going to try and slot into that P2, but here comes Siegel around the outside. Couple cars making a little bit of contact in the back, but they'll get away with it.
I think that's Danny Deshelski moving up from 4th all the way into 2nd in that white and black car. He took advantage. He got on the racing line, and we got an accident in turn number 2. Gilliland is involved. Multiple cars end up on the driver's left side of the racetrack.
I think I see the 288 involved in there. 3 cars, and they are in a heap, so easily going to be a full course yellow here in a second. One of them is able to get moving, but those 2 other are stranded, and that is a narrow part, so they cannot leave them there.
So a bummer to start this one. We still are green flag. I'm sure we'll get the full course yellow once we kind of complete this lap and everything is settled down. Race control just wants to make sure everybody's kind of in their rhythm out there. Makes everything a whole lot easier when it comes to these restart procedures. Cole Kleck leading the way, but what a move from Danny Deshelski in turn number 1.
Yeah, you're right. It looks like as we now finally get the full course yellow, he's got the bit between his teeth this time. Jashelski does not want to be left behind. So Kleck eases up as the safety car is going to just scoop him up once again. So it looks like Gilliland, Gafarov, and Miller, I'm seeing, are the three that were involved in that opening incident. I said that we had a few little bumps through turn one, and it was still pretty three wide coming off there. It looks like they didn't get it sorted.
And I see one of the injured cars right now limping its way around up the back straightaway with a significant amount of tire rub. Looks pretty cool as it's almost like a burnout going down there. But I want to talk about that start. So Cole Kleck, I thought, was kind of crowding the inside of the racetrack coming down. And that's what he can do, right? He's the leader. He gets to pick where that inside lane is. However, everybody kind of followed him down there to the inside of the racetrack. And what did Danny Jashelski do? He said, all right, if you guys are going down there, I'll just go right back to the racing line, braked at his normal point, and carried so much momentum around the outside. That was a great racecraft move.
To bring another world into it. What do they always say in dirt racing? Go where they're not.
Yeah.
So he just picked that up and said, all right, you guys leave an open bit of racetrack. I'm going to fill it. And that gave him a P2, as we see on board with Cole Kleck going past what I think is the last car remaining stationary at that spot. At least they didn't go completely full tilt down to the third part of the S's. That's where you can have some massive, massive accidents. But there definitely looked to be a good degree of damage on each of those cars.
Yeah, and from that incident, it looks like it was Gilliland involved, Gafarov. I believe that Kesman was also involved, as well as Miller in that 224. So it's looking like a four-car incident. And actually, there's a couple of the cars stranded on the top of the hill, driver's right, actually on the back straightaway.
Man, not the start we were looking for, especially considering last time we went green, lights to flag. They had a clean race out there and had no such luck. Let's hope that we're not in for the complete opposite and we get the rest of this one green.
These GT3 Cup fields are large and they are feisty. We've definitely seen some good racing throughout the year, but we also have had our fair share of small incidents every now and then. So I would say that these drivers are relatively familiar with these full course procedures, especially Cole Kleck. Remember, all the way at the beginning of the season, Sonoma, he kind of had to sit down with race control after one of those initial starts, but he learned a ton, and ever since then, he's pretty much been on top of it.
Yeah, look at the front of that car. That is real unfortunate.
That's Miller there in the 224.
So they'll have some work to do until next round, the season closer over at Road Atlanta. So they'll have some time to put the car back together, but not even really getting to finish a lap around here in the final race is a little bit disappointing. And as big of a deal as we made about Scott Glen being behind, he's up to 8th, so he's made up one position. But interestingly, he only has 2 cars between himself and Kelly now, and that's Melito and Hinkle. So I think he's sitting in a really good spot, had a great start, managed to move himself ahead of those on his class. It sounds like we might get to have a second look at what happened with that incident. I'd love to see this because I only saw kind of the end of it on our live screens.
Oh, and see, it's already developed. That was a huge hit to the passenger door of Gilliland there. So watch the cow car. He's off driver's left.
Slow.
He's in the middle of the racetrack. It develops in front of him. Oh, that's what it was.
Loose.
Well, yeah, he's too wide going in, and that is a big impact. Thankfully, it is the passenger side door, not the driver's side. These Porsches are made incredibly strong, so you saw Gilliland be able to actually drive that car out of there, which was pretty impressive. But I actually think that Gilliland got loose because there might have been a little bit of contact going into turn number 2.
Well, and we've heard drivers talk about this weekend about having tire pressures up going into that turn 2, so I'm sure that also played a part in that this is the start of the race. And it was really worst-case scenario because that car was literally perpendicular across the track as everybody's packed up. It's hard to tell where to go in the heat of the moment. And, of course, we wound up with at least a little bit of contact because of it.
It's almost eerily similar to kind of what happened in one of the Carrera Cup races. Now, the Carrera Cup had an incident out of the exit of turn number 1 to kind of start one of their races, and this is just a couple hundred yards further down the road, but the same type of incident where everybody fans out in turn number 1 and kind of has to condense back into turn number 2, and all of a sudden you got 3, 4, 5 cars trying to fit in the spot of 1 or 2.
All right, let's see if we can actually spot contact here. Yeah, you're right, because he kind of veers off to the right-hand side, and I don't think he would be that loose on under-pressured tires.
And the reason why I say that is because he's kind of in lane 2, and I think that far outside car is thinking they can go to lane 2, and so kind of turned down in, and all of a sudden Gilliland was still there leaving space at the apex, and that's, I think, where the contact happened.
Spotter did not give the clear signal, unfortunately, and that leaves us with some pretty damaged cars here at the start of this race. Looks like they do have it on the hooks now, so hopefully it should be pretty quick getting it out. I've been seeing a lot of pieces being collected by the team, trying to make sure it's cleaned up there on the outside of that turn too.
I was trying to figure out which it was about an orange and black car. It's obviously not Cole Kleck, and I think that Laura Eli was behind all of that. I'm not sure which car that was on the outside of Gilliland, as well as we get the shots of these other 2 cars out here. This is the Fall Line Motorsports car of Tim Kesman, as well as I believe that is Gilliland pulled off on the side.
It looks like it. Yeah, I thought I saw it was a maroon car, but I'm not entirely sure. It may have been Musial Sr., but I'm trying to see where exactly he is in the group.
I want to say that kind of all erupted around the 10th to 15th place area. And obviously, folks, we're speculating on this because I don't have the car number. I don't have the exact livery of that car that was all the way on the outside. I'm not trying to place any blame, just honestly wondering who all was involved with it.
Yeah. We're just trying to parse things at this stage. So if we did call the wrong car, apologies to those. But we'll ask around after the race, see if we can put together exactly what happened out there as we ride on board with Cole Kleck. Doing everything right, just keeping the tires scrubbed and warm, and the car ready to go as soon as we get the lights out in front of him. And he'll hope to try and run away again. Speaking of Musial 2.0, I feel like he started up a little bit higher, didn't he? Let me see where he started, because he's down in 11th now.
And with that turn 2 thing, I mean, cars were everywhere. They were trying to avoid. It was definitely a little bit of a schmozzle for sure.
He started in 6th, and he's now in 11th. So, yeah, I wonder if he just had a checkup trying to avoid things or what, but it has not been a good start for him. For all the promise that was there, he's slipped a little bit backwards on the opposite end. Therese Lalu, I feel like every single time we see her in a race, she's almost always making up positions from where she started, and she's gained another 1 off the start and is up to 10th, currently sitting 7th in class. Evan Hinkle in 6th spot there, trying to make up for yesterday. Currently still in that P7th overall, just behind Tony Melito, but he's ahead of Scott Blend. Oh, we've got another angle of the incident. This could answer a few questions here. So why don't we take a look at that and see if this answers anything.
Yeah, I think you're right, Joe.
So that's Musial 2.0, I think that was.
Yeah, but by the time we clipped to it here, the incident was already happening, so he was accelerating away. I'm not going to place blame, obviously, but it certainly looked like that.
Yeah. And it'll probably carry on for at least another lap. It could have been Joel Johnson, because I know he's got a multicolored car. Again, it all happens like right as the replay starts up.
And that orange car, I believe, was also Laura Eli involved. So I think that there were several cars kind of the same color out there.
All in the same spot.
All in the same spot.
And to be fair, because like you said, it's hard to place blame from our perspective. I think that was just a case of there's so much happening at once. There's so many different lanes that people are trying to take. We saw 4 wide going into turn 2, I noticed on one of those replays. So, yeah, man, that's just hard no matter who you are.
Yes, 100%. And it's so unfortunate to have not just one car, but multiple cars knocked out. It's not what anybody wants to see. It's not the plan for anybody's weekend to come out here and tear up any cars or equipment. So I think that everybody is probably going to review this and sit down with race control and say, hey, how do we avoid this? What can we do to get better? But part of it is just Watkins Glen, right? This is a challenging racetrack. This is a fast racetrack. And there's guardrails everywhere that line this place. So, man, mistakes can hurt hard.
They can be costly in the end. That leaves us with only 23 cars continuing on. Still plenty to have a good race to wrap this one up, but it is going to be even more of a sprint challenge because we're down to 23 minutes plus a lap to go on the clock with the lights still on in the safety car. So we might wind up with only 20 minutes or less than that to try and sort this one out.
It'll be turned into much more of a sprint race, and I do think that it's probably going to be another couple laps because remember we have those 2 cars up there that are getting extracted right now on the back straightaway. It certainly seemed like they got everything cleaned up at the outside of what was turn number 2. The Watkins Glen staff out here, the safety workers, the track workers doing an amazing job to make sure that everything is cleaned up so that we can go back racing.
All right, well, let's hope that happens soon here. Again, this is the last chance for those in the Cup cars. We will have one more race, the makeup race for the Caymans, a little bit later this afternoon. But for those in these GT3 Cup cars, once they're done with that checkered flag, they can start packing up and heading out. So you need those points. You got to try and score them here today. Otherwise, there is only 2 races left at Road Atlanta to decide things. And that means 120 points total will be on the board after this race. That said, Scott Blend, I believe, was a pretty handy 50-some-odd points after last race. I don't have the exact number, but he came in to this weekend at 54 points ahead of Caden Kelly. So he was already sitting pretty handy, but 120 points is still plenty that things could change dramatically.
I'm enjoying riding on board with our leader here because look at what he's doing. He's keeping temperature in the car. He's unsure when we're going to be going back green flag racing, right? He's on the other side of the racetrack. He's in communication with his team. The team's not over there helping extract the cars. So Cole is doing everything possible to keep temperature in those tires, keep temperature in the brakes. Watch him here. He'll scrub it left, right. And earlier in the lap, he was doing some short spurts of acceleration and then jumping on the brakes to make sure those brakes are still up to temperature. And I also like the weaving here. It's not just general back and forth. It is aggressive tire scrubbing. And folks, let me tell you, the more aggressive you can make the tire scrub, the cleaner you're going to make those tires.
And you mentioned earlier about going up to race control after the race and drivers reviewing with them. The start is actually under review now by race control. Now, I don't know if that means the initial start to the flag, if something was wrong, or if they mean the start up to turn 2 with the incident.
I would assume the initial start.
That's what I
running
thought
up to
from the verbiage.
And it might be further back in the field because what I saw was at least the first handful of rows looked pretty good.
Okay, so maybe a few drivers popping out and they're a little unhappy. Last time we saw that, we did see a lot of penalties handed out. So, okay. So it sounds like we might actually have some visuals on the start. So we'll get a second glance in that, see if we can find anybody that's being naughty up there as we go by that incident. So let's take another look here. So let's watch the back. I mean, it's not as packed up. Nothing looks too out of line.
Front row. No, front row's all good. There it is. 1, 2, 3. About row number 6.
Yeah.
And further back, which was directly in front of Scott Blend.
So we get another look at okay, we cut away before we got to the accident. It's okay. Don't worry, producer. But the thing that I found interesting, it looked like Evan Hinkle's car, I'm pretty sure, that was kind of popping out of line. But by the time he was fully out of line, they were past the start-finish. Now, once you're past the start-finish line, you're allowed to change lanes. So I think it's a little bit of a gray area. I'm curious to see what race control says because he wasn't fully, completely out of line. He was kind of heading towards there.
I have to grin to myself over here because, I mean, as a racing driver, if they tell you to stay in line, you better stay in line.
Don't try and fudge things. Yep. And, the rule book is the rule book. So We'll see what they say. But, yeah, that would be my guess, even though we don't have anything confirmed that that's what they're looking at. But I think it may have been Hinkle that they are taking a look at there in the middle of the pack. So now it's just down to Kesman's car that they need to remove. I mean, they do have an opening right there, so hopefully it should be a pretty easy extraction. Yeah, now they get another truck over. So only so many safety vehicles to go around.
Yeah, it's the unfortunate part about having multiple cars involved in the incident. I do think it was great that these drivers were able to drive it away from turn number 2, so that way the track workers don't try to have to pull apart cars and all of that sort of stuff. So they did the right thing of trying to get the car out of the incident area, realized it was too wounded to actually drive on the racetrack. You don't want to be dropping parts or fluid or ruin anybody else's day. So they did the right thing, left the area, and then simply pulled it over on the side of the racetrack where they felt was okay and could get those emergency services over to him eventually.
Well, they even got the loader moving over in pit lane, so I wonder where that one's going.
I see a jet dryer out there by the back straightaway as well, headed down towards what is turn number 3. We got a red pickup truck leading our field down the front straightaway, setting a new track record.
Well, if you wanted to know, our best lap right now is a 58.3, so Kleck not quite at full song for that one. About 10 seconds off what would be a good time there, so he was obviously slowing down a little bit over that lap.
I think he'd argue he did a 47 in qualifying, 11 seconds.
Yes, okay, there we go. There we go. It's slightly off. On board with Kelly now. Watching from Caden's perspective, he's still our leader in the Masters. 2 cars between himself and Scott Blend. But Scott's going to have to boogie because, yes, he's got less cars now between himself and his class leader, but he's also got way less time. I mean, by the time they get that car out of there, we're still looking at 15 minutes left to go.
Yes. And this is an interesting dynamic for Caden Kelly. So if we rewind to yesterday, fantastic race for him, right? But he really came alive in the back half of the race. Now, after we talked to him in the podium, he says, I'm going to be on it from the drop of the green flag. Obviously, he's still sitting here in the Masters class lead, but what happens if we do see that little bit of a sluggish pace to get going, right? And then all of a sudden, Scott Blend is able to capitalize. So it's just an interesting dynamic. Caden Kelly is in the perfect spot where he wants to. Now he just has to be mistake-free.
He's the one in control of his own future at this stage, I think. So, yeah, and he needs these valuable points. That said, I know Scott Blend says he likes to try and push and doesn't want to let up. This second place still ensures a championship if he finishes here. He can continue to let Kelly take those wins. He's not going to, I don't think, but I don't think he needs to be too stressed if he doesn't manage to get up to that leader. Here we go, getting that car pushed into that little gap.
This is great. Rather than towing it all the way around, realize this car is not going to continue in the race. Let's just get it clear of the racetrack itself in terms of safety, and that makes us go back racing even sooner.
In fact, lights have just turned out on the safety car, so those trucks on the track should be able to escape off to a gap nice and easy, and then we'll get back going as they're just coming out of Sector 2 right now. So, yeah, there should be plenty of time to get everybody out of the way and get rolling once again. Now, this will be a single file start, so that should hopefully help things when we get going green once again. But that also eats up opportunities for those who really have to hurry with so little time left on this restart.
I'm going to put on my competitive hat over here, and if I am Cole Kleck, remember how long he waited on that initial start. I mean, we were almost to the start-finish line before he stood on the gas. Honestly, I'm going to flip the script if I'm doing this restart. I'm going to accelerate coming out of turn number 10. Nobody is even going to be ready. We'll see how he plays his cards.
Remember, he has to wait for the call from the green flag before he can go on that initial start. Now he does get to decide when they go, and he is backing them up. He's letting the pace car get up ahead of them, and he's going to try and control this off the final corner. Let's watch and see how good of a jump he gets, as it looks like, yeah, he is getting on the loud pedal. We're going racing once again here for the last race of the weekend in GT3 Cup. Down into the first corner. He does get a pretty good start over to Shelsky. Meanwhile, look at the battles behind them. Caden Kelly actually having to go defensive into turn 1.
Yeah, and he's going to have a car to his outside. Oh, that's not what Caden Kelly wants. That's Tony Melito trying to take advantage, trying to carry the momentum, but it looks like Caden got back in front with the track position. 2 cars separating him and the championship contender of Blend.
He's not out of the woods yet. Melito, although he doesn't look like he has the run, he's starting to drop back. So we have a 10-second post-race penalty to the 277.
That's Hinkle.
So I was right. Okay. It was him that they didn't like, and he was too far out of the line for their happiness, which means Blend doesn't have that car in front of him, but he does have that car in front of him.
And it looks like I heard the 280, I believe, is being given incident responsibility. So that's going to be another tough one out there. But you're right, Scott Blend, he sees that white and blue car in front of him. That is Evan Hinkle. He'll be coming down pit lane to serve that penalty. Like you heard Joe Peak say, that is only one car now that's going to separate him from Caden Kelly.
That is a post-race, though. So that's a 10-second time penalty. He does not need to come down, but if it's close at the end, he's going to drop a lot of positions. By the way, the 277 was Gilliland, or 280 was Gilliland, so he's already out of this race, so it's a bit of a moot point, unfortunately. Meanwhile, that is Therese Lalu, who is dealing with a little bit of pressure. I think that's Musil 2.0 that's trying to pressurize her, and Joel Johnson also in back of that group. And I thought this would be a good thing for Scott Blend that those in front of him were backed up behind Kelly, because that gives him better opportunities to try and pass, but he seems still stuck behind Hinkle, and while he will finish ahead of him, he definitely needs to be beyond that car.
Let's see about the run here from Musil 2.0 on Therese Lalu. Therese already going defensive, maybe a little bit early here into turn number 1. Felt that she was kind of under pressure, maybe in that brake zone, and then was able to nail the apex, accelerate out through. But the thing is, Dave Musil Jr. is going to have the run. A little bit wide there in turn number 2, maybe a little bit wide in turn number 3 as well. Here comes the slipstream.
How hard does she fight this? This is for class position between the two of them. He's got to run. And we're going to ride on board with Dave. She's going to defend to the inside, not allow him an easy pass into there. He tries to send it in to the inner loop, but no, she chops down and across. It's also a second position up for Lalu, now up to 9th.
She's doing a great job so far inside the top 10, like you were saying, but definitely has a lot of pressure. And in front of her, Scott Blend is starting to run away by 1.7 seconds now. So she's going to have to get up on the horse if she wants to keep up with that lead group. She's doing a terrific job holding everybody off behind.
While all this is happening, Kleck is still our leader, and it's about 1 second over Dashelski. He hasn't exactly dashed away from the field, but he has put himself at a decent distance as we continue to watch this battle down into the heel of the boot. Definitely a little farther away for Therese, so she is safe this time.
See about the run out of what is turn number 8 there. I noticed on that restart, she got pretty loose in that section. I think that was one of the reasons why she was a little bit on the back foot, is you see Cron really creep up on that car, that 227 of Johnson. Also Laura Eli in that black and orange machine, the caboose on the train.
This is an important one. Johnson is running 3rd in Masters class right now. So Cron and Eli putting this pressure on. They've got a very valuable position just in front of them that they'll want to try and take. Laura looking to get back up onto the podium, as she doesn't have quite as many this season. And coming into the braking down at the end of the front straight, she's not going to get a chance to try and pass. She has 10 more minutes plus a lap to try and pass these two cars.
I'm really happy you mentioned that time, because I think that the drivers probably need to be reminded themselves that, hey, this is no longer a 35-minute race plus a lap. We are down to 10 minutes plus a lap out there. So if you feel like you've got some speed, if you feel like you can go up there and make some passes, you got to go get it done now.
Joel Johnson still holding on, and actually this would be his first podium of the season, if I'm seeing correctly, a 4th place at VIR. I'm trying to remember where he finished at Friday's race here for this series, and yesterday's as well, I guess I should say. But down into the braking of the chute, they're going to stay in order as they are. Johnson still holding on to that podium spot.
doing a terrific job, but Cron is definitely right on that back bumper, and Laura Eli hasn't gone anywhere as well. Therese is actually doing a fantastic job trying to run away from that 3-pack we've been talking about, but seems like Musial 2.0 here has a nice run in the short chute, call it the heel or the sole of the boot as we come up into turn number 8. I mean, half a car width maybe accelerates out to 1 car length of a gap there as we approach turn number 9.
Yeah, you could see that Therese read that one very early as she started to move over almost as soon as they came out of the corner. Now, part of that is important because the rules on blocking in this series is you can make preemptive moves, but you cannot move in response. So she figured she'd cover off that possibility and make sure, just in case he got a run, that she could keep him from getting that inside if he chose it before she did. Down into the braking of turn 1. Once again, these two stuck at the hip as they can't seem to get away from one another.
I think that Caden Kelly has found some motivation out there to win this thing. That last lap time, about a quarter of a second faster than his competitor, giving chase a couple cars back of Scott Blend. And I think he's tired of seeing Scott up on the top step, so he wants to go up there and stand up there too.
What I'm looking forward to is to see if you can get an excuse out of Scott Blend on this one when you talk to him up there. That'll be a fun podium for sure if they finish like this, but Scott is still doing everything he can to try and take this one away from Hinkle and Melito. This has got to be so frustrating for him because, like I said, as it stands right now, he'll easily be ahead of Hinkle with that time penalty, but he that's not helping him in this situation.
And he is such a competitive guy. He always wants to go out there, and he always wants to win. He always wants to perform his best out there. He doesn't want to make any mistakes, so he's always doing a terrific job. But you're right. It's a little bit of a frustrating moment right here as we get this battle for what is third place in the Pro-Am class. This is Siegel climbing up on the back of Metney for third.
Yeah, just to confuse us even more, we got our 2 silver cars fighting for position out there and for a podium position. Metney versus Siegel. He's the car ahead in the 298, the one behind Matt Siegel, the newcomer to this series, but Metney only running a partial season. We have to remember, Metney, though, is still plenty busy outside of Sprint Challenge. He races in the Carrera Cup, too.
Yeah, he's got lots of experience in these chassis, and here we go, the run, the drag race down into turn number 1. Metney already covering off the inside heavily, now feigning back to the racing line just to kind of carry that momentum into turn number 1. Let's see what Siegel can do. He's going to opt to run way out wide at the exit of 1, sit on the racing line, see if he can pick up a slipstream going up the hill.
Matt trying for that over-under, and he does have a bit of a run here. He's going to be within a car length of that third-place machine. I'm just not sure if this is enough. Covering way far down to the inside, Metney leaving nothing to chance into the inner loop. As they go through, they have to get back to single file. Probably wise from Siegel.
This is fantastic racing. Look at the pressure that Siegel is applying to this car directly in front. Metney has a really good corner there and is actually able to kind of accelerate away on exit, but now we head downhill into turn number 6. You got to balance that car on entry. It can be so tricky with the downhill elevation. And then turn number 7 here, you got to drive the car into this corner, trust the front end, and then let it grip up on the exit.
We had missed a spin. Hutter, it seems, was off track there for a bit. He's continued on. Hasn't lost too much because he's still actually running in 18th. So that's not too much of a loss, although I'm sure he'll be mad at himself over that one. Back around the heel of the boot once again. Ooh, a little bit of a bobble, though, by Siegel going into the runoff there.
Car did look a little bit out of shape on that corner exit, but the prior lap, he just nails turn number 9. That's 2 laps in a row that he's got a significant advantage over Metney there in that third place. So if I'm looking for a move, it's probably going to be down into turn number 1, given how fast he is coming up out of the boot.
But that doesn't look like the greatest of exits out of the final turn. Just a little bit too far back. He needed something more, and there's not a chance coming down into the 90 this time. What about off the corner exit? Needing to launch here to try and get the speed down the back straightaway as we pick them up in turn 2. That was a fantastic exit from Metney. Look at the distance he put.
Yeah, really good corner there from Metney to kind of gap it out. And I do think that Metney's got the pace. So yesterday, our top three was Kleck, Dyshelski, Metney, exactly how they run now. However, Metney was turning 49s consistently. That last lap out of him, a 50.2. So I think he might be mirror driving just a touch, and it's affecting his pace. We know he's got the speed, but also on the other hand, Siegel is doing a terrific job.
Yeah, I love what I'm seeing out of Matt here. Rebounding after Road America, has been putting in some good performances this weekend. They'll switch back down into the chute now. A little bit wide on the entry, trying to square off the exit. I don't think it quite worked out for Matt, and he loses another car length up ahead to Metney.
See about this uphill corner here. That is okay to enter it a little bit wide because it is an uphill corner where you can carry too much speed into it. That's what I'm talking about, driving the front end into the corner. You're going to skate the front end just a little bit, but all of a sudden it grips up and you can roll onto that throttle. It is such an interesting corner over there, turn number 7.
Not missing anything with Cole Kleck. He's continued to distance from Dyshelski. It's now up to 2.7 seconds. Up there, so it's been a good job by Cole managing this weekend, without a doubt. They have 4 seconds actually down to Alan Metney, so top two looking mighty fast today. We got a nice little battle here farther down. I think that's Eric Lapp on the defense. Doesn't quite fully cover off the inside, though. Leaves it a little bit open.
Yeah, and I believe that is Thomas Erb directly behind him there, so he's the one trying to get by Eric Lapp in this blue number 297 car out here. See about the run up at the top of the hill, leaving the boot section, and certainly seems like Lapp is able to hold him off for now.
This is for 19th overall, but Lapp is in Pro-Am, Herb is in Masters, so if they swap places, there won't be any points changing amongst them, but there's still some pride there.
Yeah, it was a little bit wide there from Lapp. This might provide the opportunity to Herb going down into turn number 1. You see him already presenting the car to driver's right in the mirror, but Lapp does a really nice job taking it deep on the brakes.
Oh, look at that cutback, though. Here we go. I thought he was doing that a little bit too late, but he must have set that up wonderfully, and that is going to give Herb 19th position, easy as you like, down to turn 2.
Now the 261 just has to set his sights out the windshield and hit all of his marks, see if he can run away from that car that he just passed. Lapp is going to try to respond, though. He's in the slipstream, looking to the outside in the inner loop, not a passing attempt, so it is going to be Herb holding on to that position.
Nicely done. Meanwhile, as we come back to the 277, who has flummoxed Scott Blend, preventing him from getting a pass done, and doing a pretty darn good job considering how fast we know that Scott Blend is. I mean, what a contrast we have. Evan Hinkle, who only gets to hop into the car every once in a while, a couple times a year, versus Scott Blend, who practically lives in this car.
Yeah, and I know that was a little bit of a nervous moment up there at the apex of turn number 9, but I do think that if you have the car in the middle of the racetrack on the entry, you can definitely capitalize on a late apex, and that's exactly what Hinkle tried to do up there. So this battle still continues to rage on. We know that Hinkle's got that penalty. However, Scott Blend wants by. He wants that car to be made invisible sooner than later.
Whoa, this is from a long way back. He sends it down the inside, and he is through. Nicely done. Now, we saw last time that a driver can get a run off of that corner slipstream behind him, so how hard does Hinkle fight this, or does he know he has a penalty?
I think he knows it. It didn't seem coordinated down there in turn number 1, but you're right. Scott Blend sent it from way far back, almost like he knew the door was going to be open.
They're not on the same team, so there's no communication there as far as we're aware. But, yeah, that definitely kind of came out of nowhere. Okay, he's been freed up. Next up is Tony Melito, but it's 3 seconds, and I don't think he's got the time to catch him.
No, I was just pointing it out here in the commentary booth. We have 1 minute plus a lap going on.
Whoa!
Here. So that's contact from Laura Eli to Cron directly in front of him and at extremely high speed. That was about 100 miles an hour.
I was going to say, you usually don't want to have contact through the outer loop. That is a place of disaster right there. Great job by both of them to hold that together. She was giving him a real hello.
The rubber ducky is out front right now saying, charge, let's get through these cars. And I think that goat, that ram, is kind of responding.
Yeah, indeed. She gave a little bit of a ram there on the rear of the car, coming down into the heel of the boot. She's right on top of it once again. So it's the frog versus the duck here, essentially. First with the ram.
Yes, all right. So, well, we got our spirit animals out of the way. Let's focus on this battle. And it is important because remember, that third car, that car that's leading this train right here, is that third place Masters car. So if Laura Eli can get by Cron, can she go up and challenge for a podium?
Man, it'd take a real push. She'd have to have a ton of speed. Johnson is looking pretty safe right now. And we are going to get the white flag next time by as they cross, even though the time is out. The leaders have gone by with some time left on the clock. So they'll have 2 laps to try and decide this one.
She once again presented the car down to the inside of turn number 1, but Cron just kind of shut the door at apex. Little bit of a wiggle out of the 233 right there, exiting turn number 2. Don't usually see that. The cars are nice and stable, so if Eli saw that, she might think, okay, maybe the tires are starting to fall off a little bit. Can I be aggressive? She certainly showed the car to the inside, just trying to distract that driver in front of her.
She's sticking with it. It does look like maybe Cron has caught up a little ground. Oh, but he goes wide. Wonder if this is what started the attempt last time. Don't make contact down through the outer loop this time through. But again, like you said, she is positioning herself. She really dove it into the chute.
That was, a quarter of a car length gap all the way through turn number 6 out here. An incredibly fast corner that's downhill. You have to have fantastic car control and confidence in order to pull that one off. And here we got Therese Lalu still playing a little bit of defense from Dave Musial Jr.
Around the outside. Doesn't look like that's going to quite work out. So she'll hold on for the time being. He could make another sneaky move into turn 9. She turns in early just to try to cover that one off. The good news for the both of them is they're well within range that they're going to inherit spots from Hinkle.
Yes, they are. That's a good point, and they're actually coming up to him right now. I think we just got the white flag for our leaders that crossed the start-finish line. 1 lap to go here at Watkins Glen International.
Can Laura Eli manage to get by? Unfortunately, I don't think there's going to be enough time to try and chase down the car of Johnson. What about for Musial? Looking around the outside once again. We saw that attempt earlier on, and despite the cutback, I don't think he has enough speed. Lalu holding on to what is 7th position in Pro-Am class.
And she really drove it in deep into turn number 2. I saw that Musial Jr. kind of let off the gas to kind of get the run up the hill, and she just stuck it flat out through there. Was maybe a little bit wide, but look at it. She gapped it out over her competitor.
Exactly what she needs in this situation. Hopefully someone's on the radio letting her know she doesn't need to worry about Hinkle in front of her. She'll finish ahead of that car as it sits right now regardless. She needs to worry about those behind. In the meantime, this is the man that has been controlling this race. In fact, he's been controlling this weekend, Joey.
He has done a fantastic job. This is Cole Kleck, our overall leader in this orange 211. He has got a 5-second lead over Danny Deshelski, who was also sharing that second place yesterday. So Cole Kleck looking to make it three-peat here at Watkins.
Man, what a response after an embarrassing mistake at Road America. Did not let it get him down. He has just been impeccable here this entire weekend. Look at the gap that he has the car behind. You can hang your head high because Cole Kleck, you have won at Watkins Glen 3 times in a row.
Danny Deshelski crosses the line in second place, approximately 5 seconds back, and Metney is going to come across, rounding out your Pro-Am podium.
And Caden Kelly will cross the line, taking victory in Masters in response to Scott Blend, who does find his way up to second and finishing 7th overall.
Watch the rest of this field cross the start-finish line. There goes Hinkle with Therese Lalu giving chase, and Dave Musial 2.0 not able to catch her. And you're going to see Hinkle start to fall down the order with that 10-second post-race time penalty.
Yeah, he is going to wind up 14th, it looks like, unofficially. It's a frustrating one without a doubt for Evan. He'll have a lot to go over after the race with his rivals. Johnson with an excellent podium there in 3rd position, and a top 10 for Joel Johnson on top of things as the last of them come across. Our finishing order sees Cole Kleck take overall victory. Dushelski in second behind him with Metney sitting in third. Then it's Matt Siegel P4 and Caden Kelly taking a win here fifth overall. But in the Masters, he is our victor. Tony Melito was P6. Then it's Scott Blend in seventh there, who finishes second in Masters. Therese Lalu with an excellent race up to sixth in class, eighth overall. Musil 2.0 finishes in ninth. You've got Joel Johnson to wrap up our podium in the Masters. From there, we'll do the overall as Reinhold Kron was 11th, Laura Eli in 12th. Then it's Josh Conley finishing 13th, Evan Hinkle in 14th, and Dave Musil Sr. in P15. Mark Bowden was 16th today, Frank Vitiello P17, Chris Hutter in 18th, and Thomas Herb makes a great pass to get 19th. Eric Lapp was 20th, and John Manship 21st. Francisco de Jesus, a nice recovery today in 22nd. Groombridge in 23rd. DNFs for Gaffarov, Gilliland, Miller, and Kesman. All right, we've got our podium ceremonies coming up. Stick around as we have one more race in the day, but a little bit left in today's broadcast.
It's hard to contain your excitement when you get something you really want.
WeatherTech.
Like the gold standard in automotive protection, WeatherTech floor liners. With deep sculpted channels and laser measured for total protection in the front, back, and even up the sides.
Dad, you're going viral.
What? WeatherTech me.
So don't be shy, enjoy. Order your premium American-made products at WeatherTech.com.
Let's get ready for our last podium ceremony for GT3 Cup here in Porsche Sprint Challenge North America. We're starting things off with the 992 Masters, finishing third today. It's the driver of the 227, Joel Johnson. Finishing in P2, we have the number 245 of Scott Glen. And our winner today, coming from pole, it's the number 208, Caden Kelly.
Well, Joel, we're going to start with you over here. I'll climb up here next to you if you don't mind. A great race to end out the weekend here at Watkins Glen. How does it feel to be on the podium?
Feels great. It's been a long time. It's been since last year in the North American Series, so I'm real happy to be here. Happy to get my act together a little bit in this series this year, and feels really good.
Great job out there. Hopefully we'll see you on the podium soon to come as well over there in Atlanta. Now, coming up to Scott Blend here. What have you got to say for yourself here in second?
Yeah, no, I'm really happy actually to be here in second. As I said yesterday, we had our work cut out for us today. We didn't qualify the best. We had a good car. Maybe would have had a little something. We just ran out of time. But, Caden, he's a badass, as we know. He's doing great. He's even sick in making it look easy. So he did a great job. And thank you for all the PM&A folks for supporting us. Again, thank you to my crew. Thank you to everybody. It was a good day.
Fantastic day to be on the podium. And then we'll jump over here to Caden Kelly now. You've already done a couple races here this weekend, but you finally made your way up here. You beat your rival, Scott Blend.
It feels quite good because he is a legend himself. And I just want to say that I'm so stoked with having my wife here. Super emotional because I was sick and I didn't expect the race. So thank you, KMR. Love you guys. I'm so exhausted, but it feels really good to be up here, especially the camaraderie, the experiences that we have and we share in this Porsche racing is just incredible, second to none, and I just love it. And I just want to say thank you to everybody. You guys are all awesome.
Well, we saw all the hard work that you've put in this weekend. Obviously, a very emotional podium for you, so congratulations. But we still have one more round at Road Atlanta here in a couple weeks. Can you take this momentum over there and have the same feeling?
Oh, I feel good that once I get healthy, I'm going to give it to Blend, and we're going to have fun.
Awesome job out there claiming the top step. Give it up for your Masters class podium.
Now we can swap hats, please. One last time. Let's spray some champagne! Congrats to our 992 Masters podium. Fantastic race out there this weekend. Up next, it's time for our Yokohama Apexin Award. This goes to the hardest charger of the race, and it's the number 216 of John Manship. Congratulations to John, making up the most positions in this race. And now it's off to the 992 Pro-Am podium. Finishing third today in the 298, it's Alan Metney. Accepting the award will be Riley Dickinson. Finishing second today in the number 252, Danny Dashelski. And finally, a perfect weekend for the 211, a three-peat for Cole Kleck.
We all know how fast Riley is in a race car, so we'll see if he's fast in street clothes to avoid the champagne. We'll see if Danny over here in second place. You've collected 3 second places here this weekend. You're going to go into Road Atlanta with some good momentum. Talk to us about that start. That was a heck of a move coming from row number 2 and coming out in second.
Yeah, you know, I was able to get the start. I was able to get the jump on the start really well, and once that open lane popped out for into T1, I was just able to have a perfect braking zone into there, and it gave me P2. And
it was a great racecraft move to move you up into second, and you were able to hang on to it. Cole Kleck, you've got your car parked in victory lane for a third time, a three-peat at Watkins Glen.
Yeah, it feels great. I want to apologize to Eric for the car's already kind of soaked, but no, the three-peat's awesome. I mean, we couldn't ask for more with the top racing machine, and I want to thank Alex for all the driver coaching this weekend, and my mom and dad and God.
Now, obviously, you've dominated this Pro-Am class all year. Are we going to continue to see domination at Road Atlanta? Are you aiming for 2 more wins?
We're pushing for all we can. We want it. We want it all.
Awesome job to Cole Kleck. 3 wins. Give it up for your Pro-Am podium.
Let's switch to the Yokohama hats, please. I have a feeling we know who everyone's going to aim for because they're going to be spraying some champagne. Riley didn't get out scot-free on that one. Once again, that concludes our GT3 Cup racing. We have 1 more to go this weekend. It's time for the Cayman Makeup Race for Road America this afternoon.